So I'll just continue based off where we left off last night, basically, to where generally Kimimaro is the strongest because everything in the data books and the series, and we could just get into it from there. So you have like
Okay,
the
so just to
agnostic
clarify,
stance.
my character is Tenten from Naruto, and I'm taking an agnostic stance, so I don't have to really scale her anywhere. I'm just of the disbelief, or excuse me, I'm unaware of things that would lead me towards the belief that she loses. So I'm yet to be convinced. All right, so what's going to be the first argument for why Kimimaro is above everyone?
So were you correcting disbelief because of the agnostic stance would leave you to have no belief?
No, an agnostic stance doesn't necessitate whether or not you believe in something. At the moment, I clarified that it's based off a lack of being convinced. So I'm not going to scale Tenten anywhere. I'm just not convinced that you could scale Kimimaro above her. I don't see why that is the case. So it's not that I'm refuting that. I'm just agnostic to it. Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah. Okay, so if I have Kimimaro as the strongest in part 1, then Tenten would be below that.
Yeah. What's the argument for that, though? You just keep saying he's the strongest. Like, why would he be the strongest?
So sure, I guess we could get into it. I'll just list some data book stuff, unless you want to debunk all data book stuff just immediately.
I mean, you could send a scan if you like. I don't. We'll see where it goes.
Sure. Kamui's the one with all the scans. I have to go find something really quick. Let's go to my DMs with him since he sent it to me. Did I not? Is it not right there? I swear it's kind of like literally right there. But one of the data books I think says Kimimaro has the strongest bloodline because he comes from the Kaguya clan and Tenten doesn't. That should put him above. Here, I got this right here.
Facts. Wait, he comes from Kaguya's clan.
Yes.
Let's see. The strongest bloodline Kimimaro appears as Sanfor caught up by Konoha's tactics, losing the barrel and becoming split up. Then Kimimaro, who should have pissed it by sickness. Where's it at? The bottom scene. In response to Kimura's warning, Taiya to resolve, skillfully manipulating her genjutsu, and the three Doki summons. The mysterious sound of the magic flute shows Doki the Kaji. Wait, what part of it suggests that he's a part of Kaguya's clan?
The very top, the strongest bloodline, Kimimaro appears. Well, it's also his last name. His last name is Kaguya.
Okay, so why does him having the same last name as someone necessitate being relative? Like, I know a lot of other people that have Fonseca as their last name, which is my last name, but it's not going to be suggestive of them being my actual relatives, for one. And then for two, you're also assuming that Tenten isn't a part of the clan. There's no contradiction in Tenten also being a part of the family, hypothetically. And then third, we're just assuming that Kaguya even is the strongest family. And then fourth, we'd be assuming that being a member of the family necessitates like some sort of superiority. So there's a lot of assumptions going on with this like interpretation and like claim about Kimimaro.
Okay, whereas I could contest the other three, I think the you can't prove Tenten isn't part of the clan is so funny, I'll let it slide.
Damn, that's that kind of aura.
Okay, so off the record, for anyone in chat, does Tenten have a last name? Did I just let that point go for no reason? I don't think she does have last name, unless her last name is Ten, and her first name is Ten.
I don't know. I really don't care.
I don't know either. I don't think it's confirmed anyway. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. So let me get rid of that one. So I guess using an actual series argument here, Orochimaru wants Kimimaro's body over anyone else.
What if that's just because of the Kenkai Genkai that Kimimaro has?
He has the strongest Kekkei Genkai.
I don't agree to that. I just said, what if it's because of the Kekkei Genkai?
Then it would be because it's the strongest.
Why? Does Orochimaru say the reason I want him is because he has the strongest Kekkei Genkai, or does he just say he wants his body?
Yeah.
Because my interpretation is he could want his body because of the fact that he has a Kekkei Genkai. But I don't know if you're able to prove that the reason Orochimaru was seeking out his body specifically is because he has the strongest Kekkei Genkai. It could be the case he just wants a Kekkei Genkai as to not having one. That's like, would you rather have Kool-Aid or water? It's just preferential. You might just want to have a Kekkei Genkai.
At that point, I would just say he has the preference to choose between Kekkei Genkai since he would have multiple people he could choose from. which would be anyone with
what other Kekkei Genkais are at his disposal?
Sasuke's.
How do you
Itachi
know that he has an achievable means to obtain his Kekkei Genkai?
through the body transfer jutsu.
Yeah, but that's assumptuous on whether or not it's going to work. Not only this, but it ignores the circumstances that leads to obtaining his body. He's a part of Konoha. He's a Konoha shinobi. You have to go through whatever he's willing to go through in order to get Sasuke's body.
Yeah, and he's willing to do that.
So how do we know this, and how do we know he has the capacity to do so?
So he could choose Kimimaro's body, which has a Kekkei Genkai, or he could choose Sasuke's body, which has a Kekkei Genkai, and is more difficult to obtain. And he's choosing Sasuke's body, telling us he has a preference.
Yeah, that's like a nothing burger. You want to try again?
Oh.
Like that didn't respond to what I said, like at all.
Okay, do you want to repeat what you said?
No, I don't.
Okay, fair enough. What's the next point?
That's it? That's all you're scaling?
Well,
I think you can end it here if that's all you got.
I have a lot more.
Okay, what's the next argument?
Okay, let's see what I actually want to use instead of wasting right now. So Kimimaro has the strongest spear. What do you think about that?
Strongest spirit? Spear? What's the argument for that? Because it's stated somewhere?
It is.
Let's look at that.
All right, here you go. The strongest spear and shield. What?
What do you think that means?
I think it means it's the strongest spear and shield.
Right, like, in reference to what? Like,
Strongest
for
spear and shield.
example, like we can say things comparatively, in a group of people, or we could say things like universally, right? So, what is it trying to compare itself to? Like, what is this in reference to?
Whether it's specifically Kimimaro and Gaara or Universal, they have the strongest spear and shield.
Again, like what? So, okay, how do you interpret it to be universally the case that they just have the strongest items or whatever in Naruto?
So the same way you would interpret anything if you're asking how I interpret it.
Well, yeah, I think you're assuming that because of this one statement, that this sword or spear and shield are just superfluous to like everything else. And we're asking why, because you just said it's what, universally applicable? Why is that?
Kishimoto said it.
Huh?
It's a narrator statement from Kishimoto himself.
So why can't the narrator talk about things comparatively in correspondence to a group rather than talk about things in a universal sense? Was the narrator restricted from doing that?
No, I said that either way it works. Whether it's one
absolute dog
interpretation or
shit.
the other doesn't
Mortified's the
matter.
worst debater I know.
Did you get like bitched out of like Castle Black? Like you want to like? Okay, yeah. Thank you for serving me. My bad about the interruption. Again, right? So like you'd agree that it's equally possible that it is universal, or it could be the case that it's just not.
Right, because that doesn't change anything in this case.
Okay, so that's an equal interpretation. So you lost that point. We can move on. What's the next argument?
Okay, sure.
Because it could just be in reference to like a group of people, which is the two of them, because two people constitutes the group. So if it's the strongest comparatively to themselves, that's fine. That doesn't give us credence towards it being universally applicable. You just granted it's an equal interpretation, and you're on the affirmative, so you just conceded. What's the next argument?
Right. So, out of curiosity, I know that you're not scaling, but what is your win con for Tenten? What does she do?
I don't need a win con. I'm taking an agnostic stance. Your burden is to prove why Kimimaro can be anyone in part one. So I don't have to scale her anywhere. It's just your job to prove that she would lose to him.
To be clear, the topic is Kimimaro's the strongest, not if he can beat anyone in part one.
No, it's very clear in chat. That I made it clear on recording as well. It's not just anyone in part one. It's you think he's the strongest in part one. So I said, okay, prove that he can beat Tenten. And your goalpost is to prove he can beat Tenten.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, in that case, he just speed blitzes one shots with the Spones.
Why?
Because he has Bracken Dance and the strongest sphere.
Okay. Does that mean?
He also has like 4 other dances.
Wait, I don't care about the dances. Why do you think that he's going to speed blitz Tenten?
Because he's faster.
What makes you think he's faster?
So basic chain scaling would put Tenten relative to the speed of Lee and Neji from the tuning exams, who would be slower than Kimimaro.
Wait, why are both of those claims true? Can you justify either of those claims?
The first one was me giving you the freebie of Tenten relative to Lee and Neji. You want me to prove that rather than saying she's slow?
You'd have to prove that because you just claimed it. If not, you'd be backtracking. We dropped the point. What do you want to do?
Okay, then we see them all training and relatively fatigued and tired and all that under Team Guy.
Yeah,
I'll be
I can go
relative.
to the gym and exert myself whilst the bodybuilder next to me is also exerting himself, and we're both generating sweat and we both get tired. That would still be assumptuous of me to equivocate our working out in
They're
terms of
doing the same
potency.
workout. They're training for the gates.
Prove that. Prove that they're doing the same workout. Just because they have the same goalpost doesn't mean they're using the same amount of output. Like we could both say that me and the bodybuilder are trying to reach a certain pinnacle, but that's still not going to be suggestive of me and the bodybuilder equivocally exerting force, right? So we both could be working out at different degrees, despite the fact that we have the same goalpost. So you're still assuming that 1010's cap at the other two shinobi's levels, and because they have a relative or similar or the same goalpost, which just doesn't follow.
Okay. Tenten loses to Tamari.
Why?
So that happens in the series. She did do that.
I mean, are you allowed to kill in the tuning exams?
Yes.
You are? I thought they prevented that. I'm pretty sure they like stopped Neji from like
well,
killing his
that's kind
sister,
of funny.
right?
The point for that was that the match was over. You're allowed to kill, but like the proctor or whatever is allowed to stop the match at any time. It's kind of a weird rule, but like that's like randomly how they describe it.
I mean, you could prove that.
I mean, it's just in the series.
That's not an argument. You have to prove your claims. Prove it's in the series.
You want me to prove that the proctor could stop the match?
No, you prove that they're allowed to kill.
Prove they're allowed to kill in the tunings. What I'm confused how this point helps or harms you. I'm confused on the relevance of the point. If you can explain the relevance.
That's just a tracking error, and I'm not going to hold your hand. You're fucking stupid. Prove that they're not allowed to kill.
Okay, it's not a tracking error because there's nothing to track in the first place.
It is a tracking error because you fucking can't track for shit. Please prove that they can't kill.
Okay, in that case, then I'm just going
Or
to
that they can
not
kill, excuse
prove
me.
it because I don't care to prove it.
You don't care to prove it? Okay, well, I put your claim into question. You don't care to prove it, so it's not going to be fulfilled in this debate. You've lost that point. What's the next argument?
Okay, so I've lost the point that they can kill in the tuning exams. Be clear.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's to be the case that 1010 doesn't have the capacity to kill, then when she's operating with the capacity to kill could be a massive discrepancy. So in this like topic or whatever, we assume that, you know, your character's probably going to try and defeat or kill my character. And that's what you're trying to prove that Kimimaro has this capacity to defeat her in a fight or kill her. Under such circumstances, she could be operating under the willingness to kill. And if it's to be the case that there's no contradiction in her killing intent version of herself being superfluous to the non-killing intent version of herself, that even if I hypothetically steelman your scaling, which I haven't, but just hypothetically, if I accepted what you said, it still wouldn't be sequitur to the 1010 that I'm using in this debate. So that's that's the importance of whether or not you won or lost the killing point.
Okay, so that definitely was not something that could or could not be tracked since it wasn't stated.
No, I just gave the argument. What wasn't tracked earlier was the point about the killing thing.
So real quick, could you just clarify what I didn't track about it, just out of curiosity?
I'm not obligated with doing that.
I know, that's why I'm asking.
Unless you can demonstrate why I'm obligated with doing things in a way in which you desire, then I'm not going to do it.
It's not about obligation. It's about, are you willing to do it? And if your answer is no, then we could just move on.
Okay, I don't want to. I don't have to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's all you had to say. You don't have to say anything about obligation.
Okay, so then why does Kimimaro beat Tenten? Because you currently have nothing as we speak.
Yeah, well, Raken dance.
What does that mean? What does that do? Where does that scale?
He can make
Can
a
you say this
lot of
again?
bones on the ground, and they go really high into the sky.
Why does Tenten gonna like die to that?
Because she'll be pierced and stabbed and killed.
I think that begs the question of how durable Tenten is. Like, what suggests that she's going to be pierced by the bone's potency?
Well, she has skin like anyone else,
Mm-hmm.
and bones and pierced skin, as we see with Kimimaro.
No. But can his bones specifically pierce her skin? Because you're assuming that in a fictional universe, everyone has equivocal durability in a shonen battle manga, which just isn't true.
Okay, perfect. So now you're making a claim that her skin could be different from others. Can you prove that it could be different from others, or would be?
Yeah, so the way that we determine logical possibility is using a framework of a lack of a contradiction. So it's going to be conceivable, therefore, it's logically possible. Now
Possible
we can
isn't
talk about
plausible.
practical possibility. The practical possibility in Naruto is that we see evidently that characters in Naruto fluctuate in durability, meaning that not everyone has to have the same durability. So demonstrating that the ash bones work on like some random shinobi or like Gar or whoever you want to think it works on isn't inherently sequitur to whether or not it's going to work on Tenten. It's very simple. So her skin could just be so durable. She could just like flex her chakra, whatever you want to interpret it, to where she doesn't get pierced by the ash bone or by the bones, whatever.
So the problem with that is you said that durability fluctuates.
I said it can. And the reason I said it can is because it's possible. And the reason it's possible is because it doesn't have a practical contradiction or logical contradiction within the verse.
So by that, do you
That's
mean it can fluctuate for everyone, or that it does fluctuate for some and doesn't fluctuate for others?
I don't have to answer that question because it's only specifically correlated to Tencent at the moment, right? So we're just saying that it's logically possible and practically possible. It's in the realm of both possibilities in which she just has greater durability than the bones themselves. She also could block. She has tons of ninja tools. She has a shit ton of ninja tools, bro. She has like fans and swords and like kunai's bullshit. She could just like block the swords. Excuse me. She could use her swords and like kunai and like weapons to block the bones. Even if you thought for some reason that they would bypass her durability. But I haven't accepted that, nor have you proven that. But just like there's also another alternate argument as well. If you're concerned about her skin.
Sure. So ignoring the skin, what if they pierce through a hole in Tenten's body rather than the skin? So we know that
What?
organs don't have durability in Naruto the same way.
Yeah. What hole does Tenten have a hole in her body that I don't know about?
This could go through her
What?
mouth.
I think that supposes her mouth is open. I don't know why it's the normative assumption that Naruto characters would have an open mouth as opposed to a closed mouth. I think that's a little silly.
Okay, well,
Like,
do
why
you
would they
think
just
that
arbitrarily have their
at
mouth
any
open conveniently to swallow bone dick? Like, that seems kind of retarded.
yeah, do you think that at any point in the fight it would be in character for Tenten to open her mouth?
So even if it was the case that at some point in the fight she has her mouth open, you're still assuming that for some odd reason that she has an inability to not block the bones, as I said, with her weapons or just dodge. I don't see why it's inherently going to follow that she's going to get blitzed or even tagged by these bones, especially let alone in the mouth. Your argument currently is that he has to put the bones down her throat when she conveniently has her mouth open, but I'm asking under what circumstance provided would that follow? Via likelihood, of course, because if you just say it's possible, you get equal interpreted. So why is it likely the case that Kimimaro is going to have the ability to create a circumstance in which she opens her mouth so that she can exert, so that he can exert his bones into her?
Right, so under
Like,
the
why?
possibility to where Tenten's durability is so high, then Kimimaro's gonna realize this and realize this is his only tactic to take down Tenten. So, because her nose, would get in the way of seeing her eyes because it obstructs her field of vision, so therefore her field of vision doesn't matter how good her eyes are, then he's going to attack from below and then enter the mouth that way at the moment that she opens her mouth with that tactic in mind.
Right. You're still assuming that he has the capacity to do that. We're asking for an argument. So like hypothetically speaking, I can like have knowledge on Superman if he existed and know that in order to defeat him, I need to like access kryptonite so that he can be weakened. But let's say I have kryptonite inside like a shelf or some box, and like Superman's in the same room as me. Me knowing that and having an idea as to how I can potentially defeat my opponent doesn't suggest that I'm going to have the capacity to do so because Superman is like an outer infinite speed person. So he could just blitz me and like, rip my head off before I actually access the kryptonite. So you saying that it's possibly the case that Kimimaro rationalizes that the only way to defeat Tenten is by putting his bone dick in her mouth um, is still contentious because we'd still be assuming he can do this simply because he can potentially discover a methodology to win. Me knowing that I need to access kryptonite in my drawer to beat Superman doesn't grant me the speed or anything, or the resilience or the skill or anything necessary to evade Superman's attacks before I get to the kryptonite. He will blitz and kill me before I get to the kryptonite. So you saying that he can like conjure this methodology of victory isn't sequitur to it being actualized. It's very simple.
Yes, so this is easy because it doesn't really matter what Tenten's reaction speed or speed just in general is, because if she can't see the bone coming, then Kimimaro's
What
stats
what
don't
what what
matter.
makes you think she can't see the bones?
What I claimed earlier about the nose, which is already a previous point at this point, there's obviously no backtracking in a debate, so that has to
No,
go through.
that's what we call an argument from silence, right? You're assuming that because I didn't say anything that I've agreed with your claim, and that's not how that works. I do have the right to contend it. So what
You
you
do,
said was
but
that her nose would be obstructing her vision. What I did was I let you speak. I didn't want to interrupt you. I didn't want to say no, 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 you're wrong. I let you speak and I let you finish your points. You made multiple points, so I chose to address them in multitudes of ways. So I do have the capacity to address it without backtracking. You're using an argument from science if you think that I accepted it simply because I didn't say anything with immediacy. I don't have to immediately respond to your point in order for it to be not considered or considered backtracking. That's just fucking wrong.
okay,
Now,
go ahead, go
why is
ahead.
it going to be the case that her nose is obstructing her vision?
Because she has one.
Yeah. Why does having a nose mean your vision's obstructed?
Well, as you may know, the nose is in between the eyes and the mouth.
Yeah. Why does a nose existing in that area of space suggestive of blockading your vision? Because I
Because
have a
the,
nose and it's not blockading my vision currently, and it's in the same place that you described Tentens would be.
it is definitively doing that based on its depth.
Prove that.
Your eyes cannot bend around your nose. It is a straight line view.
Again, prove that Tenten's vision is blockaded because of the existence of possession of a nose.
Appeal to real life.
That's not an appeal to reality. An appeal to reality fallacy is not a real fallacy. But despite that not being a real fallacy, because it isn't, it's a power scaling term used in the debate community. So it's not actually quote unquote fallacious. But to address it anyway, just to explain to you why it's not an appeal to reality, quote unquote fallacy, which isn't even a real fallacy. But even if it had been a real fallacy, it still wouldn't follow that it actually is, in this case, that fallacy. And the reason being is an appeal to reality fallacy is when you say that because this thing happens in real life, therefore it must happen in fiction. So if Superman can fly and human beings can't fly, and I said, well, because humans can't fly, Superman can't actually fly because that's not how it happens in real life. That would be an appeal to reality. But me just creating some sort of likelihood inducer as to why, with parsimony, we'd have Naruto reflecting the human race is based on the normality and expected evidence of stories. When we're digesting fictitious media, you typically, to understand it to the utmost extent, we ought not assume the arbitrary as to not arise confusion. So we solve that issue by assuming that there is normative physics comparative to human biology until there's contradiction. So Naruto has balls and a heart and a heartbeat and lungs, and he has to breathe air, so he could suffocate just like people. But then, if there are characters that later on the series can travel in space and contradict that, then we wouldn't be able to hold on to that real life logic. So the idea is when we're digesting fictional media, we assume that they're operating under human standards if the people in the series are described as humans, which I think that the humans in Naruto are described as humans. I'm not sure of that, but I'm pretty sure they're called humans. So if it's to follow that they're called humans, then the normative expectancy would be to assume that they operate under similar physics until disproven. So with that in mind, right, Isaiah, right, me, Mortified, Bishop, the debater, I have a nose, but despite me having a nose, my vision is not blockaded. Tenten also has a nose, and she's a human being, presumably, and her vision is neither blockaded. So it's not an appeal to reality. It's just a means of increasing likelihood towards the assumption that it's unlikely that she'd be her vision will be obscured. Excuse me. So I don't think that I've commit any sort of fallacious act.
This thing.
Make
Okay.
sense?
So I understood what you said. So, out of curiosity, when you say that you, in real life, your nose is not obstructing your vision, that is in reference to your mouth, correct?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe that your nose is obstructing your vision to your mouth.
Um, no, I don't have a reason to be convinced of suchness.
Suchness. Okay, have you ever looked down?
I don't think this is getting anywhere. As far as
Okay,
that
okay.
point goes, so I think we just move on. I think it's pretty clear that you're like
Yeah, we'll
losing
we'll
every
move
point
on
at this
from
point.
the
So
real life
what
thing of you. So
about the nose? So Tenten is not going to have her vision obscured for any weird reason. So what makes you think that Kimimaro's bones are going to work on Tenten?
So first of all, the reason that the appeal to real life does work, first of all, I disagree with you just dismissing it because you don't think it's a real fallacy. The fact that you know it's a fallacy in the first place shows there's some level of validity to it since people in real life define terms. But ignoring that, it would matter because this isn't picking some random thing out of a hat. This is specifically analyzing one specific aspect of the Naruto series and comparing it to real life, rather than just any random thing that we can't assume. It's not guilty till proven innocent or anything like that. It's instead a specific thing that we can look at to determine whether it is the case in fact or not.
So what you said is false. It also didn't really interact with the Steelman interpretation I gave. But beyond this, just to shit on your argument further, we could even take to the fictitious appeal of Naruto. There are characters in Naruto who have noses, like Tenten, and we have an expectancy towards the characters not having their vision blockaded, despite the fact that they have noses in the exact same location that you just prescribed for Tenten. So if that's to be the case, then using expected evidence and you know what I'm saying, overwhelming induction, we would just take it as to say there's multitudes of characters in Naruto via probability that have and possess noses, but despite this, do not suffer any sort of fluctuation in terms of their vision.
In
Right,
terms
we
of
could see
being able
this
to
with
see their mouth.
Naruto versus Sasuke in the Valley of the End. Both characters have noses and they don't have any trouble with their vision. In fact, the opposite of suchness is suggested. Sasuke literally, you know, upgrades, you know, locks different tone wave for his Sharingan. So he's quite literally using his vision and enhancing it to get upgrades. And there's tons of instances like that throughout the series where characters, both having noses, don't seemingly have this block of vision. So even if I accepted everything you said, which I haven't, just hypothetically speaking, even upon a third fucking Steel Man, it still doesn't go through because it fails on parsimony in terms of the holistic approach of Naruto. If you look at all of Naruto, you realize there's so many characters that have noses that seemingly aren't getting blockaded. So it wouldn't actually follow in terms of likelihood. There's no induction to be had in which Tenten is going to be blockaded because of her nose. When we have tons of characters with noses of relative size in the same area of space that just seemingly aren't blockaded with their vision. Does that make sense? If not, I don't really care. We can move on. What's the next argument?
So it's definitely a straw man because it's not blockading vision in general. It'd be blockading vision to the mouth. In fact, we do know that this is the case because one of the examples you listed actually was wrong. Naruto versus Sasuke, their final fight, we actually do see this play into effect. At the very end, when Sasuke is about to Chidori Naruto and Naruto's headband falls off, this is at Shippuden, not the first final fight. At the very end, he says, "You're my one and only friend," or whatever he says, and then he goes for the Chidori. And because Naruto's below him, his nose is in the way. And so Naruto uses that to his advantage and goes for the uppercut, and it lands successfully, whereas Sasuke misses his Chidori. His vision was obstructed.
Yeah, you're assuming that that's because of his
It
nose.
could
I
be,
think that it again. So if you're saying it could be, that means it's equally interpretable that it wasn't his nose.
but that
If
means
you
it's
don't
equally
have an
interpreted that it
inductive
is.
element towards it being his nose, that means that any other possibility is equivocally possible. So you are just assuming in that instance that the reason that his vision was obstructed was because of his nose, merely because it's possible. There's no likelihood there. And if you think there is, then you'd be committing an appeal to possibility fallacy, which is to say that because it's possible, therefore it's plausible, which is just inherently fallacious. Also, I didn't misunderstand or misrepresent Naruto. You're an idiot. In the final fight on the Valley of the End, Sasuke doesn't unlock Nutomo, dumbass. I'm talking about part one, retard. I'm talking about the first Valley of the End fight, numbnut. You should know this since you're the fucking guy who has a podcast dedicated to Naruto who's getting his shit kicked in, whereas I have never read a lick of Naruto. I only watched the anime when I was 17 years old in 2019, and I'm still fucking putting my foot up your ass. Because it would clearly be the case that you don't have the context clues to understand, oh, he mentioned how Sasuke's Tomo was upgraded. He must be referencing part one. But no, your dumbass thought I was talking about part two, even though I gave facts about the series that would clearly indicate I'm talking about the first fight in part one. You're fucking terrible. Jesus, this is fucking bad. This guy is fucking dog shit. Oh my goodness, my lord. This person is the worst debater I've ever debated. You are worse than Vitamin Man. Guaranteed. I guarantee that Vitamin Man would like manhandle the fuck out of you. He would shove his fist so far up your ass that it would like come out of your mouth. Like it's actually that fucking horrible. You
Yo,
would get
Mortified, stop
vigorously
being
destroyed.
mean, bro. Stop being mean, Mortified.
Kamui,
Anyways,
welcome.
I
I
think
can
we
see
can
that you
conclude
joined at the
here.
perfect
I think
time.
we can conclude. I genuinely think we can conclude.
Oh,
You
we
are
definitely
the
had a
worst
point.
debater in the entire Naruto space. Unless you want to give another argument.
Yeah, no, well, definitely. Well,
All right.
first of all, there's no reason to assume you were only referencing a single Naruto versus Sasuke fight just because you allude to only one. You did say Naruto versus Sasuke, and I did answer in terms of Naruto versus Sasuke, so there's that.
You're just confused. The Tomeway shit doesn't happen in the final fight. Like, what
It
the
doesn't
fuck?
have to
Lock
happen
in,
in the
bro.
second fight. You
Okay,
could be
prove that.
referencing that
Prove.
first
Okay,
fight, and that second fight could be.
Prove it happens in the final fight. Go ahead. Prove that Sasuke unlocks a fucking extra Tomeway in the fucking second fight. Prove that. Go
Yes,
ahead.
you didn't hear what I said. That's okay. I'll assume it was a Discord glitch.
Did you ask if I heard what you said? Right now, I asked you to prove that
No, no,
he
no. I was
unlocked
saying
the
it's a
extra
Discord glitch
Tomeway in
that.
the
All right,
second
that's
Valley of the End fight, brother.
definitely me being
Like, dude,
very
imagine if
generous with
like
that.
I was imagine if I was performing this bad in a One Piece debate, I would give up. Like, I would never scale the series again. Goodness,
Well, it's a good thing you're not me.
Anywho, what's the next argument, please? I've defeated every single claim you've made with ease. What's the next claim?
Yeah, so obviously we know that Tenten, because her field of view is obstructed because of her nose, then obviously
You
she
have
doesn't see
not
the same
proven that.
now. Well,
That has not been proven.
well, again, the appeal to real life. And so based on that,
No, I didn't commit an appeal to reality fallacy. I've literally already interacted with that. Everyone in chat that was paying attention heard me interact with that already. By the way, chat, I said hypothetically, if I were to steal man X, then X would follow. Okay. And yeah, so that's like a hypothetical steel man into a hypothetical steel man into a hypothetical steel man, bro. I've refuted everything you've had to say. Either that or I've equally interpreted it to mean not whatever you provided. So what's the new argument? What's the next claim? Like, is that it? Or do you have another reason as to why Kimimaro, whether it be the Ash Bones or whether it be some other ability, is going to defeat Tenten or kill her?
So as mentioned earlier, the eyes don't bend around the nose, and because the nose is in the way,
Wait,
unless
can you
she
prove
has a
that?
way to see through the nose.
No, I'm just playing. That's kind of stupid. Wait, again. So you're like shadowboxing right now. I've already defeated the claim about the nose thing that got like shit on. So I'm asking you for a new argument, right? If you think you won the point, you can just move on and think that you won. But I'm asking for a new argument
Well,
regardless.
no, this
What's the next
matters.
line of scaling?
This matters because there
Unless you
is
want to finish.
evidence in the series to suggest that she couldn't, because otherwise we know based on evidence in the series that she would be able to, such as the Byakugan, which has X-ray vision, it can see through objects.
Why does the Byakugan having the capacity to see through objects mean that Tenten having a nose suggests that her vision is going to be obscured to the extent in which she can't track the bones? Why does that follow?
Because she doesn't have the Byakugan.
Right. So if someone in real life has X-ray vision like Superman, and then Mortified doesn't, but I have a nose, Superman possessing X-ray vision is suggestive of Mortified having a blockade of vision because he has a nose? Why does that follow again?
Yeah, so we can't assume that Tenten has X-ray vision. But
I
is there
didn't
anything in the
say that
series that
she
would lead
does.
us? I didn't say you did either.
Oh,
Would there be anything in the series that would lead
she
any
doesn't
type
need
of
X-ray vision. You're the one trying to
edit?
argue that her vision is going to be obscured because she possesses a nose, and you have not successfully advocated for this, bro. Can you please give a new argument? What's the next line of scaling?
All right, I don't want you to get mad. I'll just do a different argument so you don't get mad. Kamui, since you're still here, would you like to present an argument for Kimimaro beating Tenten? Is the argument here? Is the debate?
So just for clarity, I have like 10 minutes tops. If I'm
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Right. So you don't have to say anything you don't want to.
Well,
I didn't even agree to
least
debating two people, but fuck it. Like you can get some extra help. Why not? What do you got, Kami? What's the argument?
I guess we'll start with this one, and then what I'll do is I'll present a couple of things and then leave and we pick up from there because I really don't have time. So, well, Mortified, are you aware that Kimimaro is stated to be the strongest, and Tenten is not?
Can you show that?
Yes, but the question is, where do I post it?
You just
Anywhere.
post it in general chat.
Okay, let me go find my tabs. I have somewhere on here. Okay, this might be it.
To catch you up, his current
Answer.
argument is we don't know Tenten's durability or how high she would scale based on if she has the intent to kill. And so that's basically where we're at.
Okay.
Mind you, I'm taking an agnostic stance, Conway, so I don't have to actually scale Tenten anywhere. I'm just contending, or agnostic,
Okay, so,
that's the proper term, as to why
so
she
wait,
loses.
all right, yeah, hold on. So the sides of the debate are Kimimaro beats Tenten versus we don't know.
It's called agnosticism. Are you not familiar with the concept? I can hold your hand down the yellow brick road and explain it in front of everyone like you're in fucking 5th grade. Do you need that?
Mortified, you could also answer the question I asked.
I did.
No, you didn't. You presented what you could do and did nothing.
So
If you're going to be that way, I will just leave.
Okay. Wow. I don't care. Do you know who you're talking to? I'm the number one
I know who I'm
heel in the
talking to.
Discord debate.
I'm talking to somebody
I don't mind.
who's literally
I don't mind.
the most
I don't
boring
mind.
asshole I've ever met.
The most boring asshole I've
He's got
ever
10
met.
Discord followers who love this debate. It's all One Piece. I'm so amazing. Better call someone out. Say they have Down syndrome, even though they're valedictorian, going to med school, top of their class, best SAT scores in the state. But yeah, they must have the lowest IQ of all time.
You're a good
Because I know
Goyim. That doesn't
everybody.
mean you're
I'm
intelligent.
mortified.
No, doing good in school doesn't make you intelligent. That makes you a good Goyim. That means you're good at following instructions and being a good worker. You're good at standing in line. You're good at fucking conforming. That doesn't make you fucking an intellectual. That doesn't make you a fucking intelligent, bro. I don't even have a high school diploma, and I have a higher IQ than you.
You know, Mortified.
Who would have like
anything.
I'm
Having a higher IQ doesn't make
I'm
you
acing a
intelligent.
I don't
course
even
without
have-
reading a single
You have
thing
a
because
good
I'm
ability to learn
listen,
IQ.
You niggas have
Okay,
like
yeah, I
the
don't care. I don't care.
IQ of spoiled
Give the argument.
yogurt.
All right, guys, let me alone. I don't care. We're not packing. Just give the argument. What's the argument? Please. You want me to hold your hand and explain to you that shit, or are you just going to give an argument? Do I need to explain to you the definition of the term I said, or do we need to do not do that?
Well, considering I already said if you're going to be an ass, I will just leave because it's a waste of my time. I'm going to leave, and I'm just going to let Udi be stupid with you.
All right, Ood, you're on your own again.
Question is how to leave.
Looks like you got it. Okay, let me go see if there's any more I want to do. I did also just want to add, obviously I'm sure you would agree, Tenten has more than one hole in her body. It's more than just her mouth.
What other holes? Her nose holes and her ear holes and her vagina? What, bro? Her asshole? What?
Yeah, so I think you've listed all of them.
Okay,
those would be
the
always
same
open.
arguments that I gave are applicable to those other parts of her body. If I need to fucking hold your hand and remind you, you're assuming
belly
that
button, that's a good one.
you're assuming
Not really.
that Kimimaro's bones are fast enough. You're assuming that she cannot block the attacks with her abundance of ninja tools. Okay? So until you interact with those two fucking points, I don't care that she has holes. Her having holes doesn't inherently mean that the bones are granted impalement. You still have to establish that her body is going to be damaged when coming into contact with these bones, despite whether or not her mouth is open. What's to suggest that she can't open her mouth and fucking bite into her bones and eat that shit like candy? Is that a contradiction?
If it's not the mouth, you gone over that.
Again,
organs
no.
don't
What
have
if she flexes her butthole and breaks the bone? What if she fucking sneezes and breaks the bone in her nose? I think there are other ways that she could break the bones despite them being in her quote unquote holes. And again, you're still assuming that the bone is going to be provided a circumstance in which they're in the holes. You've yet to prove this.
Yeah, so with a Byakugan, it's the 359-degree vision. Other eyes don't have that in Naruto. And
so because Tenten doesn't have
where you get the
Sharingan,
obstructed vision.
Again, I interacted with this already with the Superman analogy, bro. If Superman has supervision, okay, I don't have supervision, and I have a nose, and I have holes in my body, being my asshole, my dick hole, my shit hole, my fucking nose holes, mouth, right? I have holes, belly button, you said. Despite the fact that Mortified has many holes, it's not going to be suggestive of me having some sort of impairment. Just because Superman has fucking extra vision and I don't, doesn't mean that my vision's somehow impaired. Why does that follow? Tenten doesn't have the Byakugan. Neji and Hinata have the Byakugan. Does that mean that Tenten's vision is impaired because she doesn't have X-ray vision? What's the argument for that? Why does that follow?
Because she can't see through her body if she doesn't have X-ray vision.
Okay, why does her inability to see through her own body suggestive of an inability to see in general? She could still see the bones and dodge them, see the bones and block them, see the bones and destroy them, even if she doesn't have X-ray vision.
It's to suggest that she couldn't see the bones on the other side of her body because the body would be...
Why would she need to do that? Why would she need to do that?
If the bones are there and attacking her from that angle, then she would need to see them to know that they're coming.
Again, that's assumptions of how fast the bones move, dude.
No, they aren't, because
that's assuming that she's... That's assuming... Again, you're assuming that she has no methodology to know that they're coming. Good luck proving that. And beyond this, you're assuming that there's going to be a circumstance provided in this hypothetical fight in which the bones can even make contact with her, even if they're seemingly behind her. She's a fucking ninja.
Like, yeah, she can be a ninja, but that, again, ninjas are humans, as is narratively proven in the series.
And
unless there's any sensory capability you can think of that Tenten might have, if you can think of one.
I don't think that she would need a sensory ability to necessarily detect something from behind her. And again, we're still assuming that even if it comes from behind you, that it has a means to tag you. A snail could sneak up on me at 0 miles an hour, okay? But because of the fact that it's 0 miles an hour, I might just be able to turn around and notice it before it tags me. It's like that hypothetical. It's like, for $100 million, would you accept a poisonous snail that chases you across the whole earth? And it doesn't have to go through the ocean. It can like either teleport or it can like just walk on the ocean surface, right? And that snail chases you for the rest of your life. And if it touches a part of your body or your clothing anytime, you not only lose all your money, but you die immediately. Okay. You ever heard of that hypothetical? So let's use that hypothetical and apply it to the bones with Tenten. Even if we assume that her back's turned for some arbitrary reason, which you haven't proven is even going to be circumstantially providable, but even if it was hypothetically, which I've not steelman, just hypothetically steelman, even if that followed, okay, why would it then follow that she now possesses an inability to dodge it simply because she wasn't facing the bones, quote unquote, for a specific amount of time? Why are the bones going to work? Because she has holes? That doesn't follow. So why do the bones work?
You so unwilling to stillman. That aside, don't actually answer that. You don't have to answer. That's not my contention. So you did mention something interesting to where in this hypothetical the person turns around and then they notice it. How would they notice it?
What was that? Would they notice it?
No, you said in your hypothetical that the person with the snail, if they turn around, then they would notice it. So how are they noticing it?
In that case, they could be noticing it by turning around. Tenten wouldn't need to turn around to notice it. I think that there's an infinite amount of possibilities that suggest she could notice it despite not being turned around because it's fiction. But in real life, the snail, you probably only know the snail's there by seeing it physically, to be honest. Human intuition is very unreliable. So I'd say that people generally would see the snail, and that's how they noticed it. But for Tenten, because it's Naruto and it's fiction, who knows, man? There's an infinite amounts of reasons potentially as to why she would notice something that's behind her back. Not only this, but again, you're still assuming that there's going to be a circumstance provided in which her back is turned. What's the argument for that? Why is her back going to be turned? Why are the bones coming from behind her? Prove that.
Turned from what direction? From Kimimaro?
Yeah. That's not how standard battle assumptions work. Okay,
Kimimaro...
VSBW, both opponents face each other, brother. They face each other. It's disingenuous to have my opponent with her back turned to your opponent. That's full of shit. So she's okay. Well, then why is her back turned? Why are the bones coming from the backside?
They don't have to be having her back turned to Kimimaro. Kimimaro can make bones from places outside of his body.
Okay, and why are those bones going to be able to hurt or affect Tenten in any way?
So, similar to Juby, Three Eyes, Intel's Godtree absorbed Madara, who couldn't sense Etsu behind him. Tenten likely couldn't sense the bones behind her. It can be fixed. Again, we're specifically looking at Naruto and the rules and limitations bound set within that universe, the restrictions, therefore.
So Shinobi have like, some sorts of training, I'd imagine, from the academy and from like, they're like Jonin sensei, masters, right? But beyond this, again, him having the ability to spawn bones still assumes that they're fast enough or that there's some sort of circumstantial providence in which she's affected. This goes back to the snail analogy. What if the snail is like 1 mile an hour? Like I could have a whole conversation and like, sip martinis with someone and then be on my way before I even noticed the snail was approaching me. So you're still assuming grandiosely that the bones work. We're asking back for like the 10th time. We're not backtracking, brother. I have not backtracked.
You didn't hear what I said. I said I'm glad you're going back to that. Again, Discord might have just glitched there. That's okay.
Okay.
What I was going to say is... sorry, did you want to finish whatever you're saying? Or do you want me to go?
You can respond if you want, bro.
Okay. In the instances that you listed, it seems to be, you haven't said it, but it seems to be like the person is turning around through coincidence or just because it's been a while since they've turned around, and that's why they're turning around, and therefore they would react to what's behind them by noticing it because they turn around. If Tenten doesn't have any particular reason to turn around, then Bones would just likely hit her.
Why is that true?
Because if she has no reason to turn around, why would she? Especially if the opponent's in front of her.
No, you're still assuming that the bones are going to hit her, right? just because she's deciding to arbitrarily not turn around in your hypothetical, which I have not agreed to. But it's still assumptions of the bones working, man. You still haven't explained to the VC why a circumstance in which her getting affected by the bones is even applicable. Not only this, but you haven't even established the AP of the bones or established why that affect her. So I'm not going to steel man this, but if I was to steel man this,
the bones are.
why would they work on her? Like, this just goes back to the other argument, right? Like, you see how there's no answer here? I think we're ready to conclude, man. I think you need to give a new argument, because we can move on past this argument. I've refuted it multiple times. I've gave multiple hypothetical steelmans to display why you're incorrect. Can you just give a new argument if you have another argument?
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
saying
feel like interacting with
the
anymore.
AP of the bones. The bones are stated to be stronger than steel. I don't feel like looking it up. If you don't want to deal with that, I'll just say they're relative to normal human bones.
Okay, they're relative to normal human bones. Why are human bones going to hurt Tenten again?
It would go for her organs through her orifices.
Yeah, her organs are protected by her skin, bro. You said through
Well,
orifices.
that's why,
We've interacted with that already. So you don't have another argument, do you? I think I've interacted with everything. Do you have a new argument or no? Because I think I already won. But do you have something else to say or no? A new
So
argument.
when the bones go up her butt and then attack her kidneys.
I've addressed that already, bro.
For real.
I've addressed that already. I've addressed that already. Do you have another argument? Or are we done?
I think we're good.
What's
Alright,
wrong with you, bro?
All right, guys. What do we think? What do we think happened, guys? How'd it go? Thoughts?
Shit was bad, bro.
Tensions?
That shit was terrible.